Talk a little horse racing with our horse racing insider, Jonathan Horowitz. This is sponsored by the Celtic Tavern. Jonathan, how are you?
Hi, it's nice to join you.
So, Jonathan, what are we doing while
we
wait for American Pharoah to win a Triple Crown or not win a Triple Crown a week from Saturday? What are we doing this week?
Well, we started racing at Arapahoe Park last weekend. I have a copy of last Sunday's Denver Post, and it profiles the best Colorado horse at the moment in Get Happy Mister, who's winning races in California. So while the national spotlight is on American Pharoah, the local spotlight is on some very good horses. And to get the live racing going is definitely exciting because the quality of racing and the quality of horses is as good as I've seen it since I became the announcer at Arapahoe.
I want to ask you about, and I did some research today, Jonathan, which is unlike me, but in talking about Arapahoe Park, and I remember this from last year, I want to go back, Colorado's own Get Happy Mister was undefeated in 5 races, and Miss Dixie, who I remember distinctly, ran 2 races in 2 days in August of last year. Are those horses going to be back here at the track this year?
So Get Happy Mister, who's the champion Colorado bred thoroughbred, he's now based in Southern California. So he's taken his success locally in Colorado and now doing it on a bigger stage in Southern California, although there's a chance that we'll see him for the $100,000 Arapahoe Park Classic at the end of the season. Miss Dixie, she raced on opening weekend and picked up right where she left off, and she's one of the best Arabians in the country. So we'll hopefully see Get Happy Mister at the end of the season, and Miss Dixie we saw run last weekend, and she's scheduled to run next weekend as well.
I hope those are good. So is there anything new at the park? We want to get people out there who haven't experienced it before, or people who haven't, because the Arapahoe Park's been around, 18, 20 years now? I mean, it seems
since
like
92, every year since 92.
Okay.
It was open 1 year in 84.
Are there any new things? Did you put in a party deck or?
Actually, yeah, this year we opened a tiki bar and a
Hello.
cabana, and I have a bird's eye view of them from the announcer's booth, and a little bit jealous of all the fun that people are having while I'm working at the races.
Those binoculars will come in handy, huh?
You can't drink with binoculars, though.
In addition, and we love doing the segment with you every week, you got a couple of shows on Altitude every week, Altitude Network. Tell us when they are on.
That's right. We started a new feature show about the behind the scenes of horse racing called Gates Open at Arapahoe Park. That airs on Altitude on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. And then after the races each day, we replay the races on a show called Today at Arapahoe Park, and that's at 10 p.m. Now, it all takes a hiatus this week. There's no racing this coming weekend, but the show and the racing resumes the weekend after this one.
Yeah, June, isn't it June 5th or 6th?
June 5th and then June 6th is the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, and I want to bring up one other thing that I found interesting. There's a link on Mile High Racing, if I got it right, that is really a video that's really gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, we featured on the first show of Gates Open at Arapahoe Park maybe one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen. There was a jockey in Arizona named Ann Von Rosen whose career came to an end because of an injury, and 14 months later, she got back on a horse for the very first time. I was in Arizona to see that and film that, and we put together a story that aired at the end of the Gates Open at Arapahoe Park show. And those are the types of stories we want to tell on the show, profiles of horses and horsemen and all the amazing things that you see in the world of horse racing.
Jonathan, let's talk Triple Crown and American Pharoah. There are, and there have historically been, horses that don't race in the Kentucky Derby or the Preakness. They show up to the Belmont fresh to take on horses like American Pharoah, who have won the first 2 legs. Is that fair to the horse that's trying to win the Triple Crown, to the trainer, to the owner? Is that fair?
It's hard to answer whether it's fair. I mean, that's the way it's always been. So last year when California Chrome didn't win the Triple Crown, the owner had a little bit of sour grapes saying, oh, you should run in all 3 races. But if you look back at the history of the Triple Crown, when Affirmed last won in 1978, the only horse that ran in all 3 races was Alidar. When Seattle Slew won the Triple Crown the year before that, I think there were only 2 other horses that ran in all 3 legs. And when Secretariat won, there was only Sham that ran in all 3 legs. This year, it'll be American Pharaoh, the only horse who runs in all 3 legs. So it's just part of the game. And is it fair? Well, those are the rules, so no one's breaking any rules. So to me, it's fair, and it just goes to show how difficult winning the Triple Crown is. And if American Pharaoh does it, he'll have to do the same thing that Secretariat and Seattle Slew and Affirm did, and I wouldn't want to change the rules and have him do something different.
You know, we seem to so desperately want a horse to win the Triple Crown. Should we have more time in between the 3 races?
I think that's something that we should explore, because the 3 races in 5 weeks was something that would be common maybe 30 or 40 years ago, but it's not as common today. I wouldn't mind seeing it spread out, and then you could sort of build the buzz over a period of a couple months. But right now, those are the circumstances, and American Pharaoh is going to have to be the only horse that runs in all 3 in order to be successful and be the first horse since Affirm to win the Triple Crown.
Well, I disagree with you guys. I think it should be like the NBA Finals. You have a race every other day.
Yeah, we'd have a lot of dead horses. Hey, Jonathan, we appreciate you Skyping us, and we'll talk to you next week right before the Belmont.
Sounds great. Always good to join you. And save a cookie for me next week.
You got it.
It's a brownie.
It's going to be
today.
hard, but okay. That's Jonathan Horowitz. He's our racing insider, brought to you by the Celtic
You don't
Tavern.
like my idea, huh?
No, I don't think so. The Horse Racing Insider presented by the Celtic Tavern, where you can bet daily on off-track horse racing and dog racing. You can watch live, you can bet daily, you can sip from a selection of more than 350 whiskeys, and Woody has tried just about every one of them. The Celtic is just 2 blocks west of Coors Field on Blake, the Celtic
212.
Tavern.
I'm up to